right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Load Save podcast.
Hello.
Jack, your host, and we're joined, as always, by Conor Brown, kicking it down in London town.
Wow, thanks for having me back for however many weeks we've been doing this.
How many years we've been doing this?
Exactly.
4 years.
And we're joined, as ever, by Hal Lanus, Eucubian.
Absolutely. Good to see you all.
He's actually not here. Like I'm putting my hand out to the right here, and I cannot feel his fluffy hair.
That's correct. I'm in my own house. Bet you do, Jack.
Hal is in his own house wearing his own kimono. This time.
Are you going to keep on bringing up the kimono thing?
Of course, until someone gets it. Or
someone gets it. You're going to wait
a
long ass time.
Everybody's already got it.
But anyway, we're actually dedicating this podcast this week to a very strange game which Hal actually found.
I wouldn't go as far as strange.
I'd say it's pretty strange. It was a game you found, what about that? It must be nearly 2 years ago.
Let me think, actually. A year and a half.
About a year and a half.
It was about January, February time of 2013.
Yeah, because I was going through. I'll get more into it later, but I was going through the process of a breakup, and you said you should play this game.
it was quite a good choice of a breakup game. Better than your choice of Silent Hill too.
Yeah, that was never a good idea.
There's quite a few games.
There's a running gag with us now that whenever we break up with somebody, we turn to video games.
Are we only going to? Yeah, that's true. That's my one. What did you turn to? Resident Evil, Conor?
That was it. That was my game of choice.
I was Silent Hill too.
Just shoot all the zombies pretending that they're her.
Indeed. Die, you ugly whore.
Just sitting in the warm embrace of Jill Valentine.
So anyway, this strange game happens to be called. Don't shoot me for the pronunciation. It's Katawa Shoujo.
Katawa Shoujo, I believe, is correct. Which, believe it or not, literally translates from Japanese to disabled girls.
Disabled girls, which I looked that up as well. But anyway, Hal, why don't you tell us a bit about Katawa Shoujo, since you are the expert in this room about the game?
Apparently I am an expert since I've known about it the longest, but I honestly do not remember how, where, or anything about how I discovered this game.
You went on Google, disabled girls, visual novel.
Because that's what I do in my spare time.
How you do lots of strange things in your spare time.
I will give you that one, Jack. I get up to some freaky shit.
Nah, it's too horrible for the podcast.
No, absolutely not. So you are saying... This is a family-friendly show after all. The sort of. Anyway. Yeah, no. So, honestly, I don't remember how I got into it, but basically it's a visual novel where you follow the story of Hisao Nikai, who suffers from a heart attack shortly after some girl from his school asks him out on a date, and apparently that's shocking enough for him to get a heart attack, after which he ends up in hospital and finds out he has a rare heart condition which needs to be monitored very closely, and as a result gets a transfer to a school specifically designed to cater to people with physical disabilities. It's basically about how he copes with transferring from a regular in inverted commas school to this new school, and about all the people who he meets there. And I actually mostly. He meets one very interesting guy, but no, I actually really enjoyed the game and found it. We'll get back to this later, because I think, going by that reaction, Conor, you have quite a lot to say about Kenji.
Yeah.
But no, I actually really enjoyed the story. Found it quite eye-opening, actually, in terms of, how would you say,
it gives you a view of disabled people you've not really seen.
Yes, exactly. It's hard to get a view. It's hard to sort of get, you'll never, I don't really know how to say it, but I mean, yeah, it gives you a very good insight, I would say, at least from the perspective of someone who is not disabled or isn't related to anyone physically disabled or anything like that. I would say it gives a good insight, a fair insight into the life of what it would be like in a school like this school. Before I get stuck into any more details about the story, why don't you talk about how you got into it, Jack, since you were the next out of the three of us to get into it?
Well, I was going through the process of a breakup, and well, yeah, as we mentioned, I was playing Silent Hill 2,
which didn't really work
out for you. You were telling me how it was. I actually enjoyed playing it, but you were telling me that's the worst. It probably is, looking back, it's the worst breakup game or anything to do a breakup ever, because it's like the most depressing story ever. And you said you should play this game. It's a visual, because I think I showed you Don't Take It Personally.
Yes, actually, it was a follow-on to that. I believe that's how I found it, as a sort of basically just trawling through the basically visual novel archives, recommended visual novels, etc., because I got really into the visual novel scene back at that time, so much so that I made my own, actually, but that's an entirely different matter altogether. Anyway, as you were saying,
Jack. It was like 2012. We played Don't Take It Personally, and I really enjoyed that, and I recommended you play it as well. And then I think you said, if you like Don't Take It Personally, you should really play this game. And when I read about it, I thought, disabled game, this is going to be really weird. So I thought I'd play it anyway. And now the funny story was, if you go into their website, you can download the full game, or you can download Act 1, which was like the old beta demo. And I thought, I'll download Act 1, because it was the first one I seen. Played through that, loved it, and got to the end. I was like, okay, and go on the website, get Act 2 now. Went on, there was no Act 2. So, yeah, I had to download the whole game again.
And replay the whole...
Play Act 1 again, which was great. So, that was a great start. But mainly because I just skipped all the conversations, so it only took about 15 minutes to get through Act 1 again.
That's the good thing. Well, mind you, most visual novels have it, but the sort of skipping text you've already read saves a lot of time if you're going to go for all the endings.
Yeah, definitely. But I just really liked the story, even though it is kind of cringy in some ways.
Points, I would agree. Yes,
the writing is.
Yeah.
The writing is itself well done. The character development is all well done as well, and the music is on a league of its own.
I was actually very surprised, as you said, about the writing and stuff. Considering, if I may be wrong with this, but I believe this was actually an idea. It might have even been a joke idea posted on the 4chan forums. It was actually developed into a proper game, and it's actually turned out to be a very well written game, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I came away from that game thinking, wow, that kind of hit me hard.
I think that I think I agree with some points that it is well written in places.
Yeah,
I have a lot of problems with the game, but yeah, I agree that it's well written in a lot of places.
I'll also say that it is the best game to play with a beer in your hands, because you don't really have to do anything at all.
So you just have to,
and that is what I did.
Visual novel, really, just sit and click with one hand while drinking beer with the other.
And that is actually quite relaxing,
it's
sitting having a beer and playing. But anyway, Hal, why don't you tell us?
Let's go to Conor.
Yes. Yeah,
before
guys,
we get into this,
don't forget me.
Is it who?
Well, I learned about this game about 2 weeks ago when we first did our recording in a while. When Hal said, "Hey, try out this game."
I did indeed,
and I downloaded it the last time we recorded, and I've been playing. I've only done one run through of it, but I've been playing it since completed it about an hour ago. So,
just in time.
Just in the nick of time.
I think I agree with a lot of points that you guys made. I think it does show a different side to disabled people that they kind of don't, unless you know somebody personally, you probably wouldn't see.
Absolutely.
Again, as I said, I have a few problems with the game.
Well, what exactly? You were going to say something about the writing earlier, and it was good in places. What sort of places did you think it was poor?
Well, yeah, there was. I think like some of the decisions in the game, like when you go down to the track for the second day and you go running around, and then it comes up with a choice, and the Emmy goes running past you, and you can either chase her more, chase after her more, or you can go and slow down and carry on. I personally chose to slow down, thinking, oh well, he's got a heart problem. If you go chasing after her, you could probably die and all that. And then he turns around. Yeah, because
yeah, like the doctor said, like you speak to the doctor beforehand, and he's like, "Push yourself, or you will die." So,
yeah.
I do see what you mean about that choice, and that choice is sort of vital.
I decided to slow down.
That choice, I'm sure, is pretty vital in the sense if you want to pursue the Emmy route, it's a vital choice, which I would have to agree is quite a silly one, especially when most people would opt to slow down one after being told by a doctor, "Oh, you're going to die if you push yourself too hard."
Except me. Guess who chose the silly answer?
That's because you're at that job, Jack.
And it's just that he turns around, and after you say, "Oh, he's going to stand," he turns around. He turns around and says, "Oh, well, if I'm not going to go for it fully, then I'm just not going to do it. Fuck it. I'm not going to be running anymore, because why? Why would I do this? It seems a bit silly."
Well, you're hoping that there'd be like a halfway option where you just carry on anyway.
Yeah.
But don't kill yourself.
Yeah, it'd be like, yeah, you go out running every morning, but you don't kill yourself running. Where was that option?
That is true. That would have been a nice option, actually.
Running.
It's just a couple of options like that where I thought you could have done things that I would think would have improved the game.
Yes, I would agree with you on that one, actually, now that you've brought it up.
Yeah.
So you
other than that, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I did complete it.
Yes, you did a Hanako route, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, I completed Hanako, who is the girl with burns down her body.
Did you cry at the end?
No, it wasn't
Conor?
the end. It was bad, Jack. It was not the end. It was. You see when she told her how she got the burns, and it came up with a wee sort of children's drawing of the house on fire. Surely that crushed my soul. Definitely the saddest part in the whole game. Absolutely.
I thought it was very, very sad, but it didn't make me cry.
Well,
I agree. It was sad,
remember.
but I wasn't like you, James, and I don't even think David as well. You were like, "Oh my god, we were sitting weeping." I'm like, right, okay, a bunch of pussies.
I think it's just that me and Jack are a bit too manly for crying.
You're sure just
not
you're just so
wearing
manly.
a kimono.
Next you even be wearing a kimono.
Exactly.
So why don't?
Well, I was going to.
Why don't you tell us where you go?
Well, I was going to. Okay, well.
Moving on.
This is going very well.
How?
Jack.
Well,
why don't you tell us about tell us the routes you've, well, I know what routes you've done. Tell us the routes you've done and your least
you should
and
go
best.
First, Jack, because I've done all of them. So obviously Connor's told us a bit about Hanako. Why don't you tell us about the other two you did, which I believe were Emmy and Lily, and then I'll talk about Shizune and Rin.
All right, okay. Well, I did Emmy first because I chose to push myself, unlike you two, so that kind of screwed me in that path. And then when I went back and did Lily, and I really enjoyed that as well. And then I did Hanako after hearing about you used to weeping and fucking sobbing about it for years.
Tell us about the characters of Emmy and Lily then.
Right, so Emmy she's a girl with no legs, like she lost them in an accident, and she likes to go running to relieve herself of the horror of not being able to feel her legs.
She's got like
and there's
running
a deeper reason to that later in the game. And I really liked that story. Probably out of all of them, I'd say Emmy or Lily is my favourite. I really liked the Emmy story.
Emmy's story quite creepy in a sense because of the way, I mean, naturally I suppose, how unwilling she could have been to talk about the accident, and it was I found that quite scary, I guess. Like, it was quite, it was a strange, like, sometimes if you like push the character too far, some of the things she'd do would honestly quite creep me out, and
I find it.
Obviously, that's a sign of writing. That's a sign of good character who can, there's a lot of depth to that character. So kudos to the writer. But yeah.
But as Conor said,
I'm quite interested to see what the Lily one was, because I was actually planning to go for Lily when I originally started. I was planning to go for Lily, and just because I was nice to Hanako, it pushed me down the Hanako path, and I just and that's how I ended up her. But I was planning to go for Lily.
The Lily route is very, very enjoyable.
Because Lily's the safe route. I don't even think you can get a bad ending in Lily. It's just like a neutral or good ending. So, that's a safe route to go with. Most people recommend starting in Lily. But as I was going to say, I agree with Conor, the writing in some places could have been better. But maybe that's just me. Sometimes I thought the game was probably written more for, I hate to say this, people, Titanic fans.
Young girls.
Just some of the basically it's just some of the writing was just really cringy.
Yeah.
Can I say? But then it is a love story
exactly.
most times. So but then he would walk about and just say all these stupid questions in his head that were so obvious if you had any common sense.
That seems to be a thing with video game characters.
Shall we say?
They seem to lack common sense a lot of the time.
I don't know, he was in Emmy's story, he's why is she not talking to me about, or why is she so hurt? And it's well, she did lose her dad, so
that's true.
Stuff like that. It's just
he
obvious.
Would often push her without you telling him,
or he'd push her in a way that he was so dumb. It's obvious why she's upset about it. But anyway, enough about that. So that was Emmy's route.
And I've just remembered you forgot to say that Lily was blind girl who is she's not student council, but she's head of something.
She's the head of the class.
She's head of her class. Yes.
She was student. Yeah.
Is that not that Misha?
No,
they're student council.
All right.
And then Lily was the head of the class. She was head of her class of blind people.
Right. The class of blind people. Lily was I do recommend go back and do Lily, because I really enjoyed the Lily
I like
story
Lily.
arc as well, and I did Hanako as well, which I thought was alright. I didn't quite enjoy it as much as the other two, but had its moments, not quite crying moments, but
I'll get you one day.
And I didn't do Rin, because Rin's just
I'll get to that later, because I did that route.
She's in Shizun or whatever her name is they two just annoyed the fuck out of me, so I never went down that route either. So anyway, that's my story.
Okay, well, I'll say, before I move on to either the Rin or Shizune route, I'll talk about the first ending which I ever got. Was the worst ending to get the entire game. The Kenji ending. The secret Kenji ending.
Oh, okay. Can we talk about Kenji for a bit?
Let's talk about
that. Basically means you just said
no, it wasn't
to
that.
every girl.
Just because you're equally nice to all of them, that none of them really took a shine to you, I guess. But anyway, yes, Kenji is the main protagonist. Yes, he's the main protagonist. He lives across the hall from the main protagonist, Hisao. He is. He's the
only guy in the game.
Student guy. There's teachers and all the other characters. But it's the reason he's out of school is because he's registered almost blind, but he's also a bit crazy. He seems to think that he's very anti-feminist and seems to think that feminists are planning to take over the world through some manner.
Yeah.
He's going to blow the conspiracy wide open.
He feels like women are going to kill off men and then rule the world.
That's essentially what he thinks, yes.
He's going on a dangerous mission.
I thought
as he puts
whenever Kenji showed up, sometimes it was quite funny. The time that you're taking a shower and he just pops up asking for money to buy pizza, I thought that was hilarious. But did you not enjoy
he does get annoying.
His presence so much, Conor?
No, No, I didn't. No, I the first time I met him, I was like, "Oh, he's a weird character. I'll stay away from him." But they force him to talk to you so much.
Well, he was.
I wanted to pull my hair out. He was so.
I'm gonna come.
annoying.
I'm gonna come knock on your door, Connor. Just
Like, give me
come
money for
chat to you,
pizza.
just like Kenji. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Give me money for
I'm
pizza. I
gonna
didn't
knock
know
on
I
your
had
door.
money.
and-
Even though I've got money, I don't want to use a lot of money. I just want your money.
Exactly. That's what I'm gonna come down, knock on your door, and ask for
But
pizza.
anyway, his
I welcome you, Jack.
Janji.
Janji. I'm gonna call
You
myself.
could
Janji.
Photoshop that definitely for the podcast. Anyway.
Absolutely. I was actually working on that as
Anyway,
well. So.
yes, no, his ending
Yeah.
basically involves, like, I believe, well, no matter what ending you go down, for each one you spend the day at the culture festival with the girl whose ending or whose route you're about to go down before you go onto their route, which consists of like Act 2, Act 3 and Act 4. Kenji, however, his route at the end of Act 1, because you just spend the culture festival with him sitting on the roof of the school, drinking whiskey and eating pretzels, having a manly picnic. He more or less pushes you off the roof, which is great. So yeah, that's the only route you actually die in. Spoiler alert, I should say. But yeah, so that was quite disappointing for my first playthrough. But it's an interesting ending, let's say. But
Yeah.
This is
It's quite funny to look at.
back to the main program, though, I suppose. To routes you could go down are Shizune and Rin. Shizune is a deaf girl who is the president of the student council, which when you go to the school, there's only two members of, Shizune herself and her sort of translator, Misha, who
Misha.
is also... She
Wario.
laughs all the time, like Wario. Yes.
Crazy.
I can imagine. I mean, her character did get slightly annoying by the end of the game, but I mean, she was a necessary character, particularly before Hisao learned sign language in the Shizen route, which actually I thought was a quite nice addition, because at the beginning of the game, obviously you don't use sign language, so it's quite hard to tell where, like, sort of, Shizune's thoughts stop and Misha's sort of interpretation starts. But then when you sort of learn sign language, you can sort of get a real grasp of what kind of character Shizune is. I also really enjoyed her route because you get to meet her family. Her wee brother is a bit weird, but her dad is absolutely hilarious in the sense of, I hate you so much, I want to kill you. He's just stereotypical, what if you do anything to my daughter, I will cut you in so many small different pieces that you're not going to know what day it is, son. So I really enjoyed his character's presence, I guess. Another sort of quirk, I would say, to the Shizune route is near the end, Misha gets all sad, and you can, I think the options are to sort of like, just talk to her or in quotation marks, comfort her. And that means exactly what you think it means. So that was an interesting quirk to that route. But all in all, I really enjoyed that route. I'm going to have to end on a downer with Rune, because I would definitely say her route is the weakest route by a long shot. Because I mean, like, the good ending didn't feel particularly good, nor did the bad ending feel particularly bad. It's just all it's too artsy for me, I guess. Rin is a girl with no arms, but she paints with using, like, her feet to hold the paintbrush, and she's a very, good artist in that, but she's obviously, like, an eccentric as well. Bit is a bit of an understatement.
She's a bit weird.
See, I thought she was quite interesting when I first met her. But the more you meet her in the game, the more you can see how
I found her quite. When I went down that route, I found her quite annoying by the end. To be honest, I didn't feel the good, bad, or neutral endings for her particularly tied up as well as the other routes in the game. There wasn't as much interesting backstory, and also it was quite dull because a lot of the time during her route she was like sort of working on like a collection for an art gallery, and she basically just locked herself away for like a month while she just painted and did nothing else, and you were just sort of locked out like, oh, what am I going to do? Just thinking to what Jack was saying earlier about how stupid the main character could sound in some instances when he thought to himself too much. That's basically the whole route.
Yes. He does a lot of thinking to himself.
But
pretty much he does a lot of thinking to himself, doesn't he?
So let's talk about. Yes, that's what I was about to say.
So what was your favourite one?
I'm the only one here who's done
Since you've pretty much done them all.
A single ending, believe it or not. Spent far too long playing this game. But, that was a long time ago.
Too much free time.
Yes.
Too many Knuckles games, yeah.
Okay, so Vin is my least favourite, I'd say. Then Emmy above that. Although, between the other three, I honestly don't know. I think Lily may grab it just because I really liked Lily's character and I've enjoyed her route, but I mean there's a lot of depth to both Hanako and Shizune's. Well, there's a lot of depth to Hanako's character, and there's a lot of interesting sort of characters and situations in Shizune's route. So I'd say they're both tied second, and then Lily sort of like just naps it. I don't know. One of those three anyway. What about you, Jack? Out of the three you played, you said Emmy was your favourite, right? What about?
I'd probably say Emmy. I can relate to any of the characters. I'm not disabled, but one thing I can relate to Emmy is running. Like I do run a lot in my spare time, so I naturally kind of went towards her. Cause I thought,
when your doctor tells you that you're going to die
when you're running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, if you are running,
what would you say for
push yourself anyway.
Least
Get better.
Wow.
So that's why I did that. If I played Rin or Shizune or whatever,
I think if you played Shizune's route, you'd enjoy it.
I never played them.
But Rin, I'd say
I
don't bother
would, but then I never
Rin
did
because.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose sleep over not doing Rin's story, but I'd say I liked Hanako's route, but it probably is my least favourite out of the three of them. Lily nearly edged it because Lily's route, I think I actually sat and did it in like 1 or 2 sittings. It was a really well written. I'd probably say that one was the best written.
I'd say in terms of
story arc as a whole, if I'm honest. Yeah, definitely. That's another problem I kind of seen in the game. Like some routes were probably prioritised over others.
It's something that I found out through personal experience when I wrote my own and then sort of played other people's, is that what authors, myself included, tended to do is they have their favourite route and then they put most of the sort of creative energy into that route. So they have one really superb route and then the rest are sort of mediocre. I wouldn't say that was so much with this game, but you can tell that sort of Lily is the favoured route, even though the other routes don't suffer, except maybe Rin's, as a result, which is a sign of good writing, I would say. You can tell, and I think that's just a visual novel thing that people just have to live with.
But
this was written by multiple people anyway, wasn't it?
Then perhaps that everything I said was a load of nonsense,
sure.
And maybe it was just so happened to be that the best writer was put on the Lily route. I don't know. Anyway, We'll never know, indeed.
Mm.
So,
Who
Conor,
knows?
are there any?
We'll never know.
That's true, but I can't be bothered.
Unless Ross can.
So Conor, are there any routes in particular? Obviously, you've only completed the Hanoka route. Are you going to go back for more Katawa Shoujo? And if so, what would you like to do?
Well, I would like to go back and do the Lily route because I like Lily's character. I thought Lily's character was probably the most well-rounded out of the girls that I saw. Shizune and Misa, I thought were a bit annoying. They were a bit. I didn't quite get on with them in the beginning, but maybe I'll go back and do their one. But old Mia, is it Mia?
Emmy.
And
That one? The pink-haired one?
no, Emmy. That's the name. It had those letters in it. Emmy and the other one, Ria, whatever her name is. I'm not really interested in them.
Well, there is one. There is one.
I didn't
almost.
feel
There is
like it
one
had much
scene in the Emmy
chance
route
talking to them before.
which is worth watching, which is almost comical. I would say.
Oh God, I nearly forgot that.
Which brings us on to
It's so
the most
dumb.
talked about point. Controversial.
Controversial
Well, is it really that
issue with the
controversial?
game.
It's a big point.
Well, if you're looking for that,
I think
No,
it,
it
I
isn't.
think
What
it's
we're talking
weird.
about
I think
here
it can
is,
be very in
the
your face at times.
sex scenes. I thought they were, well, in most cases they were well written.
Yeah, I mean,
There were a
they
few
made
that-
sense, but I just thought that it was a bit over
Well,
the
I
top.
can't
with
turn
I don't
them
know
off.
what they
the
included them.
illustrations, shall we say?
Which is a
Which is good.
I did it.
Well, I mean,
But
the
they
whole
could have
game is
just,
pretty-
toned it down,
the whole
having all
game
look
is pretty
here
cheesy in that sense. So
softcore porn.
yeah.
part of me isn't surprised. Also, bear in mind this is an idea that was
Yeah.
generated on
I
4chan,
mean,
so
when on the
you know you can't be surprised.
Yeah. But then
Yes.
again, there was the one Emmy scene that was just hilarious, which I'll not spoil it because, it's quite. In fact, Conor, go play the Emmy route.
yeah.
Just
it's
play
because
all
I
of
think
it except Rins.
Yeah,
That'd be my
I mean,
recommendation.
I got on the
played it
Hanako route.
2 days ago. It was brilliant.
I did the Hanako route, and it got to the that bit at the end. And
Well, that
I
is,
just
to be
felt very
honest, that
uncomfortable
Hanako's,
with the scene.
Part of Hanako's route is notorious for being the most uncomfortable one to read. There's also a lot of controversy around that as to there's a big talking point in like sort of the Katawa Shoujo fan base as to whether that is rape or not. Personally, I just don't get involved in those arguments because they're far too long-winded and detailed for me to waste my time with. But that's definitely notoriously the most uncomfortable one. The other ones are better written and don't feel as awkward, I would say.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We're going to ramble along too long.
running along before we start going over time. Anyone else have anything to say about
you-
the
I would
game at
say
all?
Would you
definitely
suggest
before we
people
wrap
to
it up?
play it?
Definitely play it at least once.
Oh,
And
yes,
if you
definitely.
enjoyed, do all the routes bar Rins, unless you're particularly interested in Rin's character, but I don't think you would be. It's not what?
And play Emmy's route because Emmy's route's the best in all those sake, huh? No. Anyway, guys, that is it for this week's Load Save podcast. Go check out
Stillwater
Katawa
Creek.
Shoujo.
Check out
available.
House visual
No.
novel as well.
Oh yeah,
No,
go
yes.
Stillwater Creek
Just
now. It stores near you. Anyway, folks, that's going to
anytime,
do it.
Jack.
So thanks very much,
Absolutely.
Al, for
Hopefully first of many to
joining
come.
in first time from your own location.
That's true.
Yeah,
It's
although
one
I
of
do
my favourite
miss
pastimes.
not being able to stroke the hair. You know
I'll
what I
come
mean?
round and play some-
next time.
Yes.
We're going
Of
down the
course.
Katawa Shoujo route with Hal
Just
and Jack now.
I'll come round and we can play Lifeline again, Jack.
Oh yes, definitely. And Conor Brown, thanks for joining us once
No
again.
problem, Jack.
And we will be back hopefully in a couple of weeks' time for the next episode. So
Yes.
thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hopefully you're not watching
Yes,
us, that'd be a
bye-bye.
bit creepy. And we'll see you next time.